Good morning. So today we are going to be working on the bag 429 on the Mother's Day scarf. Your supplies came bagged like this, and you have a scarf. The scarf you will need to wet in some water, and then you'll want to open up the die. Make sure that you are doing this project outside and with some kind of protective clothing on, because as I said, these are dyes and they will dye your skin and any clothing. As you can see, I already have dye on my finger. So I'm going to get a rag. Rags are very helpful for this project as well. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to make sure that you have wet your scarf before you take the dye out. And then your scarf, you're going to want to have it folded. And I have mine folded so that it has been folded in half and then in half again, so in quarters, and try and line your edges up. Once your edges are lined up, so this part you will do for your child, and the rest your child will do. You can open up the dies, and the project is like any other painting project. So your child may take their paintbrush and dip it into the dye and paint. And they'll just want to keep going with this process of dipping and painting until they've covered the whole scarf the way that they would like for it to look on one side. Now, there's a trick to this, and that is the fact that this scarf will need to be flipped over and painted on the other side, trying to follow approximately the same pattern. It doesn't need to be exact, but if you can have them follow approximately the same pattern, you will end up with a nice design that follows the whole scarf. And you want to make sure that they're using enough dye to saturate the fabric. So if you see the way this is working, I'm kind of going back over, and you can tell your child to go back over the spot a second time if you see that they are not using enough dye on their brush. So I am going to change colors now. You may need to change the water halfway through this process. It depends on how much blue and yellow the child wishes to use. So now I'm going to dip into my yellow, and I'm going to go into those in-between places. And the wonderful thing about this is that I've only provided you with 2 colors, and so you will end up with either an all green scarf, an all blue scarf, an all yellow scarf, or one that looks kind of like this, where it has all the colors together. So I'm just going to continue on until I have finished here, so that I can show you what it looks like when it's ready to be flipped. And I want a little bit more green, so I'm going to take my yellow right down into the green. And I want a little bit more over here too. All right, now I'm ready to turn it over. So I'm going to pick it up like this, and I'm going to turn it directly over right where it was, because as you can see, there's dye also on the board. And most of this dye has already started to come through, so it will be easy for your child to follow the same pattern on the other side of the scarf. And so they'll just add more of the same color to each spot, being careful to rinse their brush when they change their color so that it doesn't get too muddy, because even though we're using colors that blend, if you don't rinse your brush well enough in between, you will end up with a muddier yellow that is more of a spring green than a bright, vibrant yellow. If spring green is the color that your child wants, then that is just fine. I'm going for a little bit more of a vibrant yellow in the middle with spring green on the edges. Now that I've put the dye on both sides, I'm going to take the scarf and I'm going to rinse it in water. I'm not going to show you this process because it's hard to turn the camera around, but I'm going to pick it up very carefully and I'm just going to take it to the sink. Let a little bit of that dye run off. You can see how messy this is. You can do this in a hose, in the grass, that would be just fine. All right, I gave it a quick rinse and a squeeze, and now you can see that it is a much lighter color. If you do not wish for it to become lighter, you can take it and hang it directly out. We have done that before as well. And that will preserve your pattern better if you do not rinse it. So this is your choice as to what you would like for it to end up like. I wanted something that was a very light spring green and yellow, and so this is what I ended up with. Again, if you do not wish for it to be this light and you wish to preserve your pattern, do not rinse it and hang it straight out on a line to dry. I hope you have enjoyed this. Once it is dry, you may package it up and put it with a card and give it to your mom for Mother's Day. I miss all of you, and I hope that you are enjoying our projects together. Bye-bye.